What's up? This is Mike Dean. I'm in Houston, chilling with Donnie Houston.
Subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man.
That was good. You got me talking. Nobody gets me talking like that. Fat Pat, I taught him how to rap on the mic. He used to come to my little shit up in the Heights, and I taught him how to get up on that mic and like fucking make his voice like, you know what I mean?
No shit.
I never really produced much for him, but I'd always like engineer for him and like show him tips. You know, he's like the homie, you know. We did a few songs, you know, features and shit. But
I never would have fucking linked you and Fat Pat like that, other than the.
Yeah, it's not really documented, you know. It's just that was like the homie. He got killed before we could really work, you know what I mean? He got shot at the club, right?
Nah, he got shot in the apartment.
Yeah, nah, wait, who got shot at the club? It's definitely Fat Pat, yeah. You're not talking about Big Hawk. He got shot at the house.
Nah, Big Hawk got shot at a house.
Yeah. It's like Fat Pat got shot at the club. So that was his first album too, huh? I didn't even know that.
It's the 3 to the 2. Yeah. Baby.
You ever notice the time signature of this song?
All around, sitting back.
3, 2, 3.
Yeah, the bars off. Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
It's a 3-bar loop. It's so dope. That's all the sample was. He's like, fuck it. That's Beto. You know Beto. You know him? Yeah.
I've never met him, but I know you're talking about.
That was my mentor. That's who taught me how to produce, you know. He like took me under his wing, and like I started engineering for him. Then I just started playing the guitar and shit, and then eventually we started co-producing, you know.
Because Beto was like the head producer, like at that time. Like
Yeah, he was he was doing everything.
Yeah. Well, shit, we already recording. Hey, man, it's going down. It's Donnie Houston podcast. If you're watching, hey, man, you already know who I'm talking to, man. I'm talking to a legend. You know what I'm saying? It's a big honor for me, man, especially coming from Houston, man. The man is an architect of so many legendary artists, so many classic albums from the city and really beyond the city now, beyond the world. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, Mike Dean. What's going on, man?
What's up, Donnie Houston?
What's up, man?
I've been watching you on the internet, growing, you know. Blowing Houston up.
Man, it's an honor, man. It's an honor, man. What's going down, man?
I love that Oilers jacket.
I appreciate it.
Come on. Love you blue.
I appreciate it, man.
Come on.
I have to shout out to New Face, matter of fact. I got a boy named New Face. I'm going to see if he can get you one, because this is who got this for me.
New Face?
I'm part of New Face. You ever heard of New Face? New Face is like a hip-hop historian. He's out of Atlanta. He's from Detroit, but he's been in Atlanta. He's out of Atlanta.
That's crazy. Beto had a clothing brand named New Face in 1992.
No shit. I
got
N-U-F-A-C-E.
N-U-F-A-C-E.
N-U-F-A-C-E. That's how he spells it.
Yeah. Like an African head was the logo.
No shit. Damn.
Like a woman
New
with
Face. Hey, man. You know about this? You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Anyway, what's going down, man? You in Houston, man?
Sure,
for the
just down
holidays?
in Houston for the holidays, you know.
Yeah.
Come see the fam, you know.
Yeah.
Go holler at Rap Light, go see Chief and Jay, and, you know, all the guys over there.
Yeah. What you been working on? You were telling me, can you talk about the show thing or no?
Yeah, I've been working on, working with the Weeknd a lot this year. Kind of just breaking new ground, getting into, you know, some new kinds of music. Working on this TV show with him called The Idol for HBO with Sam Levinson. It's gonna be a fucking big one. I'm acting in it, you know, doing the score, doing the soundtrack. You know, it's gonna be a lot of big surprises on the soundtrack.
Is this your first time doing some like film stuff?
Yeah, first time acting. You know, I've done some film music before, but not this deep though. You know, I'm doing like all the music you hear on the show basically is composed by me. All the score is me and the Weeknd doing it together, and then all the songs on the soundtrack, I'm co-producing or producing along with Abel.
Oh, hell yeah, man, hell yeah. So how's that been? Because you say with Weeknd all year, this is just like a new thing with y'all. I know you produced for him. You know what I'm saying? What's my favorite Weeknd song? Don't tell your friends about it. You worked on that.
Yeah,
That's my favorite Weeknd song. Yeah.
I did all the guitars and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Crazy breaks.
yeah. That shit is.
It's a great
I
song.
love that fucking song, bro. Yeah,
It's produced by me and Che Pope,
yeah,
Kanye.
yeah. Do you? We'll get to that. Do you fall in love? Because you've done so many great songs. Like, do you fall in love with stuff, or is it like one song is
I fall in love with
different
it
than
for
the next one?
about a few hours, and then I'm on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, you finish the song, you want to play it over and over for till everybody in the house wants to kill you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just move on to the next shit. I don't really ever listen to shit again until it's like 15 years or on concerts,
Within a week, what would you say? Like, is there like an average? You say, I work on X amount of songs per week. You would say.
Depends. I mean, this year I've been kind of going slow. I've been focusing on Abel and the TV show and touring. Usually I'm doing like 6-7 mixes a week, and co-producing like 3 or 4 songs a week. And that's just kind of working part-time, Like when I'm on a grind, like we'll do like 14 songs in 5 or 6 days, mixing.
Damn.
Learn that work ethic.
Complete songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mix a song in just a few hours, I mixed a song the other day with 120 tracks in it in about 20 minutes.
Get the fuck out of here. Is this you being able to set up like your own presets and go through it quickly, or this is straight raw?
No, it was just like somebody brings you a song that's like 80% done, and I just go through, and I never even heard the song before. I just ran through it, tripped out to go the guy that produced it. I was like, watch this. I was like, let's do this Hail Mary before we quit this session. I'm going to knock this out. I was just like, dug in, went through every track, listened to all 120, 30 of them, figured out what everything was, and just what needed what, and ran through as fast as I could. It's pretty cool. It's kind of a good challenge to do that.
That's fucking crazy. How long did it take you to get to that point, to be able to move that quick?
Like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Like we used to take days to mix a song and rap a lot.
Was it because y'all were doing the tapes and reels and all that, or was it just...
Well, that, and, we just didn't really know what we were doing. You know what I mean? Like, we knew what we were doing, but we thought we did. But we didn't, Like,
figuring all this shit out?
You know what I mean? Like, I remember back in the day with the tape, to do the clean edit, you had to play the song and record it to another reel that was sunk up with the reel and hit the mute button on the cusp.
So, so Rap A Lot, man. Talk about, because, you're like Mike Dean, the God Mike Dean now, you know what I'm saying? But, like, really, this Rap A Lot shit that's the roots, you know what I'm saying? Can you talk about, like, just that start? I mean, even Selena first, but, like, really going into the Rap A Lot thing.
Like, getting into, Selena was the first professional recordings I did. Besides, like, before that I did, like, stuff for 700 Club and Christian stuff and, like, just, whatever people pay me $100 to go play on, But I was producing this group called the Def Squad Texas. Just 2 guys from Freeport.
Or, like, what year is this? This is in the 80s, I would imagine.
It's like 87, 88.
Is this the time when you're still coming out here when you're telling me, like, doing the band thing, going to Third
No, the
Ward?
band thing, like the Third Ward stuff, that was, I used to, rewind, when I was like 16, 15, my mom used to come drop me off at people's houses just in the middle of the hood in Third Ward, like out on Airport Road and shit like that. I'd just go jam with just dudes that were just badass soul musicians, and like Mike Hampton, Eddie Hazel from Part of My Funkadelic would pull up and play guitar. They'd kind of mentored me when I was young, like taught me the funk, and like.
This is you randomly falling into this shit.
Yeah. Just coming up here and and then like, we used to play at Emancipation Park. We'd play like lots of Michael Jackson, like Prince, The Time, just whatever was popping on the radio.
And these weren't events. This is just like it's Saturday, Sunday, whatever. We going to the park and jam and
It's
people
just
show
a jam,
up.
It'd always be like 15, 20 musicians show up and everybody just set up and just go off, take turns playing solos, take turns singing. Just families would be out at the park. This is really dope.
And this is like early 80s type.
This is like 19 81, 82. I hung out there a lot. I'll never forget one time my mom bought me a fucking really nice watch at a gas station in Third Ward.
Really nice watch.
I don't
at
know
the
if
gas
it was
station.
real, but it was nice to me.
For the time, yeah, you was shining. Yeah,
Oh, I had the fucking Timex gold.
yeah.
No, shout out my mom for taking me in the hood and letting me play music and shit.
So that's what kicked it up. So how did that lead to the Selena thing?
The Selena thing's back in Angleton, or back in Freeport. There was a music store, Clyde's Music. The owner of the music store was like, Mike, you should meet this guy Abraham. He's got a daughter who sings. And they were just singing in Mexican restaurants at the time. Like he owned a Mexican restaurant, and she was the entertainment. So I started working with them. Ended up recording like her first records, and like the first time she was on the radio, it was a production I did with her brother, AB. Then later, at the same music store, I met these two rappers from Freeport, Def Squad, KB and Boomer, rest in peace. And started doing. I think I was really inspired by the Bomb Squad, like Hank Shockley and shit. Like I had like a W30 sampler, turntables, and all we did was chop up samples.
So that was the style at the time.
Yeah, I didn't play on anything. You know what I mean? Only thing I played was like I played at the first 808s with changing notes back then. Like I'd play the 808, doom doom doom. But and that led into we hired Peter Reardon, who he owns Shadow Hills Industries now, like a big high-end audio, makes EQs and preamps and stuff. He was the engineer at Rap-A-Lot, and we hired him to mix the album. And then he eventually referred me to Jay Prince when they were looking for an engineer. I went in. I remember it was on my birthday in 1992. I went to the office up on Jones Road, met Jay. We hit it off really good. He's like, I said, so y'all hear you can play some funky music? And I'm like, yeah, I can play a little bit. He's like, so I'm gonna give you a chance. So he put me on salary. On feet. It was $1,600 a month. Put me on salary. Put me in the studio. I didn't know how to engineer. I could just play. Threw me in the studio. I just started doing it.
You just started engineering, just messing around.
They gave me the keys to the studio, digital services over here. They gave me the manual for the board. I learned how to work the SSL board by reading the manual, and two of the engineers up there just showing me shit.
So is he bringing you in to be the main engineer? Or he's just working you into
He's the
that
main engineer.
Oh shit!
I just jumped in like, we'd always had assistants in the room. That knew how to patch all the stuff, and before I learned all that, that was a crash course. It was dope. Go in and record these crazy motherfuckers. You know what I mean? The first album he gave me was Bushwick Bill.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the first thing Bushwick?
First album
How
I
did
did.
that go?
One of my first sessions was recording, the whole Little Big Man album. Like I recorded all the vocals, sat there with him while he was fucking rapping, while he was going wild, while he was fighting with his girl. I'll never forget like Ever So Clear, that song, the skit. Did you know that baby and the lady that's on there is the lady that shot him and the baby that he was holding out the window?
No
That
shit.
shit was real. That was one of the most stressful sessions of my life.
No shit.
That was like real. Rap-A-Lot was all real, Still is.
Damn. So okay, when does this happen? How far between that and then DJ Bird seeing you play over there and then you going to go do the?
Probably just kind of concurrently, Like, I think the first person that I played something on was Big Mello. I played on the Clark, the motherfucking Clark. That's the first hit. Big Mello was like, yo, you played the guitar, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, come on, you need to play this. I was just, dun, remember that?
Yeah.
So, I played all that shit on like a $99 Fender I bought, a Mexican Fender,
No shit.
Little Sans Amp box, that's all I had. Yeah. And then after that, I started playing on Bushwick shit a little bit. Played on like Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster. I played a little bit of stuff. And just eventually, started playing on more and more shit, and that's where we got DJ Bird, shout out Bird. He pulled up and took me back into the other room where Pimp was. think that, like I said, that day we were working on that song that Scarface did for the South Central soundtrack. You know, up early in the morning. All the drum rolls and shit. Yeah, and I think the same day I went back in the back and I played guitar on Tell Me Something Good remix and on Pocket Full of Stones remix.
So that main guitar and how does that shit go?
Just all the wah-wah shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the fucking song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that and Pimp C's drums, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he got that little rolling drum machine banging the shit out on.
So when did you really start getting into like production? Because right now we talking about you just kind of being
Playing
like
with
session.
shit.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Session
mean, before
musician.
that I was producing. You know, I mean, I had drum machines, I had, you know, samplers and shit. But I was brought on, you know, as an engineer, so I had to climb my way up the producer ladder, you know. Because, you know, Joe just came in at the same time as me. You know, and he was a little more established and he was a little better at drums than me. So, you know, I had to always battle with him.
Who was it? Damo was telling me that Joe showed up with the MPC. He's the one who brought the MPC.
He was the first one who brought the MPC 60. Yeah. And then I pulled up with, I knew a guy that worked at a Kai that quit. He had come up on 4 MPC 3000s and I bought 4 of them from him.
What year was this? This got to be later on though, with the 3000.
94?
Oh no shit.
Yeah. It was like a year before they came out. I had 4 of them. I sold one to somebody, sold one to Vito, one to Joe, I think, and one to somebody else and kept one. And that's when, you know, I got into all my shit. That's when I got into doing like the Fifth Ward Boys like situation, and, you know, doing, you know, 007 E-Rock. They were the ones that kind of gave me my first shot at like solo producing was the Fifth Ward Boys shit.
You talked about Crazy C, and you were saying he helped you a lot. Like, what was
Yeah.
Crazy C's role in like early on helping you?
Just some of the first producers that I saw really doing it, that were making records on the radio and shit. Yeah, then Harvey Love, you know. I remember I met Harvey Love, before I knew Rap Lot, I knew Harvey Love from like, I went to a Ghetto Boys concert in Galveston or something. I met Harvey Love, we ended up hanging out at Denny's, and, you know, and that was like my first foot in the door in the Houston rap, you know.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah. It was all around the Clark, you know, everything kind of circled around the Clark and Third Ward, you know.
That's what.
Till
Shout out
I
Harold
got-
Clark, man. Yeah, man.
Till I got into, you know, working with, you know, all the Fifth Ward people, you know.
Yeah. Talk about when y'all start working on the diary. You know what I mean? Like seeing a man crying, like odd, like that.
Oh,
You know?
that's so good. Me and Face still argue about that every day. Like, seeing a man die, me and Face, you know,
Argue
like,
about the how it was created or what?
when we made it, you know, because I remember whenever Rudy, his security guard, got shot by that dude at the Waffle House in Louisiana. Scarface caught a bullet in his leg, and I swear that we made that song after he got shot, but he swears something else. You know, he says it was another time when somebody got shot. You know, when people get shot. You know, but yeah, the song was great. Like, I remember me and Face used to always just fight over the keyboard. You know, like. So I ended up playing the chords on top, and he was doo-doo, and he played the bass line. Like, we was playing it together.
No shit. So Scarface played the bass, you played the keys, and then Joe had with the drums.
I mean, we did the whole thing without Joe, and then Joe came in and threw some drums on top of it. You know, like we had another beat that was very similar, but it didn't have those crazy sounds that Joe had. You know, and Joe put the jingle bells in there. I got to give him that. Yeah.
Man.
Joe taught me a lot about producing too. You know, just about sounds and. You know, because he had worked in a bunch of big studios in New York, you know, and already had a publishing deal, and, you know, kind of, you know, knew more about mixing than we did, you know. You could hear our mixes, like if you listen to like Let Me Roll, that's how we used to mix. It sounded like
hella muddy. Yeah.
pillow over it. But people used to say that was our sound. I'm like, no, I don't want it to be the muddy sound. I want to make that shit sound like the radio, you know. But let me.
You said "Let Me Run." I instantly knew what you were talking about because I mean I love that song with the mix on that shit.
It's just like, man,
it's like,
somebody needs to remaster that shit.
Yeah. As a DJ, I hate playing it because when you play it behind other records, it just fucks.
Unless you just turn the mid range all the way up or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hi hats.
Oh, the hi-hat's so fucking loud. That's it. When we were checking the mixing, like, and like, what Face had? He had like a purple Mercedes 2-door with like a fucking. They cut the top off of it. We had a shitty system in there. That's what we listened to shit on. I think Willie D had like a Maserati back then. I never forget that. Willie D had a Maserati. It was crazy.
That's a trip, man. Did you ever travel with him, or you just kind of stayed doing studio?
I just
shit?
worked in Houston with him, you know. Played a couple of shows with him, you know, like at the Rhinestone Wrangler. I think I played something with him one time. Never forget that. I was on the synthesizer playing real loud. Jay Prince was like, hold it down. Oh, you killing him out there, Mike. I was like, it's cool. I was like,
That's funny as hell.
I mean, we were sitting on the speaker right by me watching.
Mike.
He's like, tone it down a little bit.
That's funny. Man, talk about when y'all went to LA and y'all did like the Smile and like the Pac stuff and like all that shit.
Yeah, you know, Joe took me out to LA and hired me to make some stuff for, what's that artist name, Cozy? Some artist that he had signed. And, you know, I just got out there and, like, we had an SSL board here, you know, like the big board everybody used, but we had an older one. And, you know, in the studio we worked at, it was good, but it didn't have, the rooms weren't tuned as good as in LA, you know, like, stuff you took out of there didn't sound the same on the radio that it did in the studio, you know, it didn't translate right. So when I got out to LA, I just kind of got addicted to these really nice studios with runners to go get your food, and like, you know what I mean, like.
This whole system setup was just like,
Like some of the best mixers in the world right now used to be our runners and shit, you know, like. That's where they all learn their shit, you know.
No shit.
From, you know, being interns and stuff at studios.
Did you ever get to like sit up under Dre and shit at that time? Because wasn't Rap a Lot and
yeah, Jay put me in a position to do that once. We were working on that song, the one on Untouchable that Dre produced.
Yeah.
He, you know, Jay had me come in and just peep them out, peep them making it, you know, and like. I remember I walked in the studio and I was like, me and Dre met each other. He's like, oh, he's like, you got it. And I just sat down at the board and I mixed the shit. You know, it's kind of cool. He let me mix the song.
The Scarface joint.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. You know, he did his thing to it, but you know, he was like, you got it. You know, it was cool. He's like really, really cool about it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Puffy. Like, Jay Prince took me to a session with Puffy in New York one time just to sit in the back of the room and watch for like a week. Nobody knew who I was or what I did, you know. I just peeped out how they collaborated, how they came up with ideas, because we did it all the way different, you know.
How was the Rap a Lot way of like making music and shit?
Just more closed, you know. I mean, it'd be like an artist and a producer making music, but and Puffy and them, they would have like 15 people in the room, all kind of doing little shit, you know, just collaborating, you know, which is what makes the best music, you know, to me.
Yeah. Man, talk about Big Mike, man. Working with Big Mike.
Oh, it was pretty wild times. I was the one who told Big Mike he was in the Ghetto Boys.
No shit.
Yeah.
So how did that whole thing like?
I don't really remember. I just remember that I knew it before he did, and I kind of was hinting to him. I didn't really tell him, but I was kind of like, I remember we were riding in that same Cadillac that me and 3-2 used to go around, and we was getting high, and I used to, what's Big Mike stories? We were just making great music, like play. That's that's Joe. I played the bass and the guitars on there. What's some good Big Mike songs I made? Fucking the one with Pimp C.
Having things.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't even produce that. I just engineered and mixed it. But just watching Pimp make that was incredible.
What do you remember like seeing him like going in there? Because he's singing a hook. I mean, he's
We were in this room with digital service, not the room with the big board, but we were in this other room that was like 2,000 square feet room, and we had a board in the middle, with the big speakers, and keyboards all around. We used to ride our bike in circles around the whole setup and just listen to the music while we was thinking about it. I just remember Pimp C came in, he had an ASR 10, this little drum machine. He just hit that whole shit in like fucking 15 minutes and got on the mic, sang the hook. Big Mike just sits there wrote out his 316s, got on the mic. Big Mike used to rap shit like 15, 20 times over. Exactly the same. You could turn on all the tracks and it sounded like one track. Just going like phasing. He was such a precise rapper. He still is such a precise rapper. Yeah.
One of the greatest. Yeah.
Him and 3-2 were groundbreaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were, between them and the Ghetto Boys, that's
Yeah, you got to come up around some of the best rappers in the world.
I mean, Big Mike was the lyricist of the year, Source Magazine one year. It's like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Man, talk about Do or Die, man, because that was like, they had a slower pace. Like, there was a different sound with Do or Die and all that. Like,
yeah, I had this beat that I'd had for like a couple of years. And I was always like, it's called Slow 69. I'll never forget. Jay Prince will remember it. We used to always listen to it and be like, dun, 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 dun. And it's like, and then Do or Die came down and we were rapping on that shit. And then I remember Slow 69 turned into Black Lacquer for Big Mike. I'm like, man, that's such a good beat. Big Mike just rapped about his fucking dick. We're never getting on the radio. I was like, I'll never forget that. I was like disappointed. I was like, man, it's a cold song, but man, we ain't getting on the radio with that one.
Just stand on the album.
Black Lacquer. He's like, oh man. Yeah, Do or Die, I mean, I remember them and Psychodrama were battling for the deal at Rap Alive. And Jay Prince, we had them both downstairs at the compound, the compound. And they were, them Chicago rappers all in each other's face. They was battle rapping, like, for the deal. They was like, Do or Die for real.
No shit.
And they won that shit, and like, it's crazy.
Is there anybody else that had battles like that went on to be somebody that may have not like got to deal with rap?
That's the only one I really remember. And then I remember the Snipers came in and did the same type of shit. You remember Snipers? Yeah. That was the only other. There's another Chicago group that did the snipe rapping type stuff. Remember, I mixed and mastered the Pole Pimpin' on a little 12-channel Mackie, them little bitty ones. That's when I mixed that shit on, in a pair of 10-way speakers.
Yeah, that shit still sounds good.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah. That's one of the first songs I mastered on with like a multi-band compressor. We had this little box. It was like a 4-band compressor, so you could really make shit loud. It was like their first really clear sounding shit.
How long did it take you? Because I mean, there's like a Mike Dean sound. Like there's like Dre. You know what I'm saying? Like how long did it take you to like get it to where you like, okay, this is like how I want my shit to go?
I think by like Untouchable we had it. I mean that sound locked. It's a whole different sound now, but I think by Untouchable we were in our stride. You know what I mean? Knew what we were doing. Like I had like Bob Margaloff, like Stevie Wonder's producer, used to pop in my room every day and make comments on my mix. You got this too much 400K and it's clapping that, whatever. He was one of my mentors. And me and Scarface we were both like eager learning producers. Scarface is a great producer.
I was going to ask you, can you talk about how much he is into production, what I'm saying, for his records and shit that people may not know? Like,
he plays the guitar, keyboards, bass, does drum, works the MPC, works all the gear, records, mixes. He does everything,
And do you have a favorite Scarface song you done?
Favorite Scarface song?
Yeah.
Man, there's so many. I could say Smile, but,
Oh, man. And that shit had a different beat, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what Damo was talking about, going over to the studio and doing that. Before they went to that studio, we were at my studio where I worked at, the Enterprise in L.A. And Tupac came. It was when I first met him. And we worked on like 3 beats for him and Face. They wrote a bunch of lyrics, and then I turned around and they were gone. And they went over to the other place
No shit.
and recorded Smile. I was pissed. I was like, fuck, I didn't get to record with Pac. When Pac gave me like half ounce of weed, he was like, you Mike Dean? I was like, yeah. He said, you play the piano, right? He said, play some sad shit. And I started making sad piano beats. And he threw me a half ounce on my keyboard. Never forget, I was worried about working with him because I heard he didn't really fuck with white people a lot. He was hella cool, He didn't snap. I thought he was gonna, black out on me or something, He was a really, really nice guy. You know, I got to be, you know, friends with him a little bit, but more with the Outlaws. You know, the Outlaws. We were homies like after he passed. You know, worked on all their shit.
Yeah. Man, talk about you talking about Face. Talk about the Fix, man. When y'all went to go do that, like, how did things change from y'all when y'all were doing previous Rap Loud albums to now? You do this Face.
Well, the Fix was
album.
when Face went to New York. That's when he was president of Def Jam South. He went to New York, worked with Kanye, worked with, like, it's Just Blaze. I'm not sure if Just Blaze was on there.
It was a few people on there.
Lofi.
Is it Knots on there?
Yeah, Knots was on there. You know, but he worked with all those guys and then brought it back down here. You know, I think I went up to New York a few times and worked with him. I did all those interludes, like in Cold Blood. All that.
That's my favorite song on that album, in Cold Blood. I can't play that song. Like, if it comes on right now, I'm gonna have to play that shit like for an hour straight.
Kanye was the coldest, like chopping samples. Come on.
That's when y'all met at that
He still
time.
is the coldest, but yeah. When it comes to chopping samples, you can't fuck with that guy.
Yeah, that's your first time meeting him on that trip when y'all.
I never met him. I just did it all, and then.
So when y'all doing the Fix, you didn't meet him.
Nah.
So you had these files and you just going and doing your thing.
I mixed it all back here in Houston at the Rap Lot spot. My spot on Pinemont I had. I mean, half there and half at my crib, actually.
So you didn't play on Guess Who's was that back in the?
No, I didn't play on Guess Who's Back. I just mixed that, but the ones you can tell I played on. Yeah. I don't remember which ones, but
in Cold Blood, did you replay it? Yeah.
There's like 3 of the Kanye songs, and then me and Face produced what do you call it? In Between Us together. You know, that was the classic Mike Dean and Face. You know, let me try the guitar. No, give me the guitar. You know, that's how we pushed each other. It was really, really interesting, really good, like unique way of learning how to produce. You know, and then like. From that, you know, I mixed Guess Who's Back, and I turned into a big smash. And Kanye was like, "Who mixed that?" You know, he was asking his people, like, "Who mixed that?" And I knew Plain Pat, and I knew G. Roberson, I knew hip hop. I knew them from whenever Jay-Z used to come do features with Face.
Okay,
You know?
before can you talk about that? We'll get back to the Kanye thing, but can you talk about like the Jay-Z sessions and shit? Because I mean, Face and Jay-Z, that's like classic shit every time.
It's amazing. First time I ever saw anybody not write a rap down and go on the mic and bust a 16 without stopping. Like, it's amazing. He's just, and still is, one of the best rappers in history, you know? Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So, back to Ye, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he calls down and says, "Who mixed these records?" And
Yeah.
you're like, "Me."
And the next thing I know, you know, Ye's at my house in Cyprus, you know?
Is that the picture, that like the infamous picture with y'all? Where
Yeah.
you're like, no shit.
That's his first day he came. His driver had a digital camera. We was like, "What is that?" He's like, "A digital camera," you know. He's like, "You mind if we take a few pictures?" And he took some. I got a bunch of pictures he took. It's crazy. And Kanye was really pissed about it. He kicked him out, put him back in the car after he took a couple.
Was he on that shit like back then?
He's always been Kanye. Kanye's Kanye, you know. He always was a little arrogant, you know, and knew he was destined to some great shit, you know. I remember when I first met him, I was like, you know, "You ever need me to play some keyboards or, you know, do some production on your shit?" He said, "I do all the producing." You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's when he made the solo beats, you know. And eventually, you know, over 4 or 5 albums, I eventually turned into his co-producer, you know.
So when was the first records that you started working on with him at that time?
His mixtape.
Oh, early on.
Yeah, I mixed, Keep the Receipt. I mixed a lot of that first mixtape. I mastered Through the Wire, all at my house in Cyprus. He used to pull up for a day. He'd fly down here, work for me for like 12 hours, fly back to New York. Come back the next week, do it again.
And that's straight mixing. You ain't playing on those records at the time.
Nah, just mixing, yeah.
Do you have other people that were playing? I mean, of course, I would imagine. Yeah,
No, nobody played on shit back then, really. It was just his shit, you know. Just chop samples and drums. All MPC and ASR.
Man. Okay, so when did you say when did you start stepping in? Because I'm trying to put it.
With Kanye?
Yeah.
I think the first thing I tried to play on was
Was it around graduation or after that?
no, before graduation. I produced Good Life, Stronger, Barry Bonds. I co-produced those with him. Did all the keys and a lot of drums and shit like that. Those were my first big international hits. You know what I mean? That was my first publishing deal. You know, after Rap A Lot was that.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just tripping, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Kanye, we were talking about it, and I was telling you.
I've had like 4 careers. I'm very lucky. You know what I mean? You know, I've reinvented myself so many times. Like, you know, just keep rolling with the punches.
Does this shit trip you out, or you just kind of moving through it like, yeah, it's life? Yeah.
It's whatever, you know. 57 years old, I'm still got a good 20
Still
years.
relevant as ever. Or you want to go for another 20?
Nothing.
You want to go till you can't go anymore?
Shucking and jiving, come on. You know what I mean? That's okay to say nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I want to get canceled up in this bitch.
Yeah, nah. Ain't nobody gonna cancel even said shaking the job.
Nah, you can't cancel Mike Dean. Fuck that.
Yeah, man. So have you been able to learn things from Kanye within y'all working together? 'Cause I mean, I know he learned from you musically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
I've always learned from being the co-producer with the best producers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Beto One. You know,
can we run through them and you kind of say like, you know, I can say Beto, I got this from Beto, I got this from.
I mean, Beto, I got just the basics of producing and how to Jedi mind trick artists into doing cool shit. You know what I mean? He was really good at that, just keeping calm, cool, collected, not freaking out or something's not going right. You know what I mean? Like, nothing will shake me in the studio, you know? After all the shit I've seen, you know? I've seen crazy shit in the studio, you know?
Yeah. I would imagine so. I mean, you came up in the middle of like gangster rap when that shit was what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it wasn't no bullshit. I mean, it wasn't people shooting people from across the room, you know? Like, it was,
It's right here.
motherfuckers bring your hat to your ass, like they used to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, Beto, N.O. Joe.
You know, Joe, I just learned a lot about sonics, drums, you know, drum production, I think. And then Scarface. Learned a lot about funk actually from him. You know, he's like the biggest P-funk head in the world, you know. You know the songs we used to do with George and shit. You know, his Uncle Eddie played bass on most of the shit. Like, I mean, all the slap bass was Uncle Eddie, rest in peace.
Who was fucking Damo was talking about Uncle Eddie on with Devin on the Devin records and shit.
Yeah, Uncle Eddie was beast. He picked up the bass. What did we call him? I forgot. Me and Face were so close, we had our own language for a while. When we were in L.A., we were getting so high, and we made up a whole language. Sounded like Arabic, but it was our own shit. Like,
No shit.
We had a name for parking meters. We had a name for everything.
No
So
shit.
we go around, we could talk
Oh yeah,
shit.
I was really zoning out back then.
Well, we was partnering, you know what I mean? Still are. I mean, that's my guy.
Yeah. So okay, with the Kanye thing you were saying, what'd you learn? What's something
Kanye, I
you
learned
saying?
just more about sample-based shit and just more about bringing more different genres into the fold, you know? You know, he samples fucking Steely Dan. He samples, like, Ghetto Boys, we mostly sampled soul and old R&B and shit. But Kanye brings in sampling all this
The Daft Punk,
white
this
people
Stronger
music.
and all that. Like that shit was out of this world. Like
Yeah.
nobody was doing that shit.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, that song is really good. That was,
When y'all did Stronger, did he bring that already to you? Did you see him like
yeah.
find the
I watched
sound
him
in it?
drop it. All that shit. And then somebody else had done the first keyboards that were on the main part of the song. Bah, bah, bah. And I came in, I made the whole, the switch ups and the chorus and the boom, 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 boom. All the bah, bah. That's my old Juno. Juno 106 I bought in 1983 when it came out. Same one I did on all the Ghetto Boys shit. It's kind of cool.
Well, Juno's a fucking classic piece. That's a
Juno,
classic
I just got it
keyboard,
rebuilt
bro.
again. It's back in the. I played it on my what do you call it, stadium tour I just did. Same Juno.
On production, have you moved over to like the digital shit, or you still
I'm
fucking
all
with that?
analog synths. You know what I mean?
So you don't get into like the Logic VSTs and all that type of shit. You know?
Yeah, I do, but it's just something about the real shit that just. You
That
know,
warmth, you can't fucking replace
that warmth,
shit.
and just when you touch something that it's vibrating, or like when you play it, it just has a feel, you know. Turning the knob is just different than turning the knob with a mouse, you know. You might get this close to the same sound, but it'll just take you different places, you know. You know what I mean? Like inspiration. Like playing a real Rhodes or Wurlitzer. You know, when that shit vibrates your hands, it just, you can feel everything everybody ever played on it, you know. It's like an old guitar, you know.
Were you a trained musician, or did you learn all this shit yourself?
Yeah, I was classically trained for like 12 years. Play all the Chopin, Mozart, Beethoven shit. Played saxophone a lot, you know. Played saxophone on some old Rap-A-Lot shit. Remember Daddy's Gone? That's me on the sax.
How many instruments can you play?
I don't know. Play sax, bass, guitar, drums, you know, program, bassoon. Bassoon was my main instrument in high school for a long time. And I played like marching drums. I played like xylophone and band.
I was in that shit. I was percussion, yeah, all that shit. Jazz band, marching band, all that shit. Concert band, all that shit.
Yeah, I was in jazz band. I played the piano in jazz band. I played xylophone, saxophone, and marching band. And I was in orchestra. I had three music classes a day. You know. I taught music theory when I was in high school. I taught the class for 2 years. That was cool.
Wait, you taught the class while you were in high school?
Yeah.
How you managed to do that?
I took it the first 2 years and I knew more than the teacher, so he would just sit on the piano and watch me do it.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was fun. There's pictures of me somewhere, like, on the chalkboard. Let me see. Yeah. We'll see a picture. See if it's in this phone. Probably is. Just gotta search Angleton. Where's this shit at? Come on. I just saw it the other day. I know it's in here. There it is. There's me in 1981
Oh, man.
teaching music
Get the
theory
fuck out. Can you send this to me?
in the newspaper. That's in the newspaper in Angleton.
Can you send this to me and I flash
Yeah.
it like when we're doing this shit?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh,
That's crazy. You've done all this shit. I was on Instagram one time doing some fucking like comment shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just looking at a bunch of shit. And this was around the time when all the shit was going on with Kanye and shit. And like you had put up something. And it just had to have been some young, like, I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they were trying to make it seem as if you was trying to shit on Kanye. And he was like, man, I had 15 platinums before I met him. And it's just like, how y'all don't know?
Yeah, before I met Kanye, I had a row of platinum records that go around the house. You know what I mean? I mean, the Ghetto Boys, everything we did went gold or platinum. Big Mike, gold or platinum. Fucking Scarface, gold or platinum. We never went triple. We always said we want to go Ripple platinum. You know, we never did it. We did double though a couple of times. Which back then, I mean, think about it. Like compared to nowadays when people stream your song, it's a lot more effort for 2 million people to go to the fucking store and pay $10 and say, I want this record. That means they really love the music. It's not like they just casually hitting the button and streaming it. It's like a commitment back then, you know? You remember buying records? It was like,
it was the experience. You
go to the
buy your
record
record,
store,
you open it up.
you fuck your
read it,
hands up
yeah.
trying to open it, you know? It's like, you usually break the case because they had some security bullshit on there, you know?
You want to hurry up and hear your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I'm gonna hit this
come on.
motherfucker. You know what I'm
Get that shit in the 8-disc changer and hit the road. You know, hit the 610 loop. Listen to that shit.
saying? Yeah.
You remember the 610 mixes?
What's
That's what we used to call the long versions of songs. We'd make them 15 minutes long so you could make it all the way around the 610.
Man.
That's what we used to call them. Me and Beto or whatever, we'd make the beats with us, do the 610 version. We'd make it like
That's
that.
what okay, I know what you're talking about, but I never connected the two as like that's what that was for. Like you put the 610 version on.
Yeah, so you could roll around the loop. Smoke a couple of joints.
Man.
Smoke this fucking stick or something, you know?
I'm doing a documentary on sticks and frying all that shit and like how that shit was just like we're like the city of serve, quote unquote, but like frying
We're
shit.
the city of fried. We're the city of dope. Fuck that. They used to call Oakland the city of dope. I don't know. You know?
Well, that's the thing. Fried in specifically, it's like, dog, that shit was just a common, like, everybody did that
City
shit.
of Dope, shout out Yuck Mouth. Remember that song?
Yeah.
That was so
Yeah.
good. Me and Tone
Yeah.
Capone. No, yeah. Fry was a motherfucker. I did it like 5 or 6 times, you know. And not that I didn't do it all the time. I did a couple, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I was at Rap Lot Studio one time working with Big Mike and I found some Sherm.
Like laying around, or you were out and you that's
Just
what
a
you
bottle
came
of
with?
that shit. I dipped a cigarette in there. I was by myself, hit that shit. Next thing I know, I'm sitting cross-legged up 20 feet up in the air watching myself make beats. It was so crazy. That was the craziest shit in my life. They sounded crazy too. And I was like, I remember like, I don't know who came in the studio, some of the engineers and my partners, and I was like in my underwear just covered in sweat. And they're like, he's like, you all right? I was like, fuck yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
We used to do a lot of drugs, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
A lot of ecstasy.
No shit.
I used to do a lot of cocaine, you know.
This is like 90s time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you was able to stay up and just be up all the time
Yeah.
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you had some people talking about being in the studio for days, yeah.
I was wondering, they could spook. He was like, man, Mike Dean will be up for days. And I was like, man, Mike Dean was in there getting fucked up, man.
Yeah, Spook would be like, yeah, he'd give us the look like, Spook and Dewey, all them. He's like, man, y'all are crazy. What are y'all on over here? JP, what you on over here? I remember when I made Smile, I called him, I said, I never talked up my music, like, this is the shit.
Mm-hmm.
I called Jay, I said, Jay, we got one. I said, this is the fucking, he said, man, what you on out there? I said, we got a hit, Jay. He's like, come on. I sent it to him, put that shit in the FedEx. That's how you had to do it back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna FedEx you a cassette of this shit. He's like, whoa. When he got it, he's like, we got a hit.
Because I had to redo, because Smile didn't have the hook and all that shit. It was just their verses.
Yeah, it was just the verses, and it had another hook, actually. Somebody else with Prince, what's his name, Danny Boy was singing.
Mm-hmm.
And we just took the whole shit after Pac died, and they brought me the reels. And,
Was it called Smile for me, or was it some other shit?
I don't remember. It came out on Death Row compilation.
Hmm.
But it was, you know, a whole different song. Me and Token Pond made that beat. You know, Tone produced it. Me and Face wrote it. It's crazy. Interpolated the Care for Me.
Fucking classic, dog.
You know,
Yeah.
right now I'm concentrating on the Weeknd. You know, hoping I get to do the whole Weeknd album. You know, do the score, do the soundtrack, and then I'm just gonna disappear somewhere, fucking get an island and play synths.
Just dropped 420 albums and shit.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got 424 coming out this year.
Nice. Nice.
I gotta start on it.
Man, how long did it take you to do those projects and shit?
It's like a day or two. My last one took me like 30 minutes. The 422 and Smoke State. That's literally I played.
So you
that,
just turn it on and just go.
Yeah, I played one keyboard that had 4 sounds coming out of it, and that's the whole album. I just played it for like 20 minutes, and that's it. Didn't go back and correct anything. It's just all whatever. It's pretty cool, actually. And then I put the stems on it. Like each track, there's 4 tracks. Each track had 4 stems. So I put 4 tracks, and I put 16 tracks of stems, just to make it long.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I made a whole album in like 30 minutes.
That's fucking crazy. Man.
Beyonce used it at Club Renaissance last week.
No shit?
That thing, she had an event. Like, they used that for the walk-in music.
Oh, man.
Like before they started playing the Beyonce shit.
That's dope.
Shout out B.
Talk about Beyonce, bro.
Yeah, I got six or 7 songs. 7 songs. on her
What's
new
the record
album.
you and my girl Ingrid did?
Oh man, shout out Ingrid.
Ingrid,
We need to get back together for this next thing that's coming.
Here's my girl.
We did Love Drought.
Love Drought.
Yeah, that was fire.
Okay.
That beat was complete before they got it though. Like I did that beat like I was in the studio, the writing camp with her. Remember me and SZA did a few songs. Me and her did a couple of songs. She was fire. Ingrid. Then I mean I've known her for a while. Like her dad used to bring her around to Ghetto Boys and stuff. Like trying to get her to sing on stuff when she was like really, really young. And, she was just kind of too young to get into it,
Yeah, no, she's been doing it forever. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's my homegirl. I just DJ'd her brothers.
Just wasn't age appropriate for her to be singing on the Ghetto Boys stuff yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, not at that time. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, what's going on with Travis, man? Talk about Travis, man. How y'all even connected, and just kind of where he is right now with everything, new music and all that.
I mean, we connected. He used to contact me and Anthony Kilhofer, producer, mixer, another guy that worked with Kanye a lot. And we just eventually, linked up. Kilhofer brought him out to South by Southwest. That's where I first met him, I think. No, actually, I first met him in New York. But they brought him to New York to meet Kanye. It's just kind of history. Like we've kind of revived Houston, I think.
Definitely. I mean, the Astroworld fucking album is like the rest in peace of Screw, and I mean all that shit. It's like the perfect like new Houston album. Like,
I remember I sitting on that Big Hawk part forever. Yeah.
So you been had that shit?
Oh yeah, Jay Ellis gave me that stuff like a year after he passed.
Shout out Jay Ellis, man. Yeah.
Huh?
Shout out Jay Ellis. I fuck with Jay Ellis.
Oh yeah. He's always sending me dead people's vocals. It's horrible. It's good, it's good to incorporate his style. It's made me feel good to be able to give something back to his family. Getting him on a fucking diamond record. That's kind of
Fuck yeah, that was huge, man.
I'm sure that helped the family a lot.
Most definitely. Oh yeah. Shit, yeah. Well, man, before we get up out of here, anything you want to, get out before we close out, man?
Just thanks for tuning in. Just fucking Donnie Houston, thank you for all you're doing for Houston. Getting the word out about the shit. What is this Instagram Rap A Lot History? You've been seeing that?
Yeah, we've been chopping it up. Yeah. Rap A Lot History. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a lot of cool old pictures popping up of me and shit.
Yeah.
I bet Damo got it. Damo, give me the pictures, man. I know you got them.
What was the deal with the picture that I put up with y'all in the studio with Roger and shit? What was going on that day?
We were doing Untouchable from here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I watched him do that. Everybody left with me and Roger. Roger's always real weird. He's always like acting all weird, like goofy and dancing and shit. When everybody left, he just turned normal. He turned it off. It was just me and him in the studio. He taught me how to do the funk guitar shit. Like, he taught me so much. How to.
Wow.
Roger was good. I worked with him with Dino too from H-Town.
What'd you do with Dino with that?
Dino and Roger have a song.
No shit.
Dino and H.
Oh, you talking about shoo-be-doo, Thin Line Between Love and Hate? Yeah, H-Town. Yeah. You worked on that shit?
Yeah. I mean, I was just around. My old partner, Brian, who built the Rap A Lot Studios with me, ended up building Dino's studio out in Sugarland and kind of engineering that stuff. And, I was just always around H-Town and stuff. We didn't work much, but me and Dino were really good friends. So.
This is crazy, man. We'll have to sit down again and do some other shit, man, because this is like, you got fucking stories for days, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much my documentary right here. Shit, goddamn.
Yeah, well, hey, man, it's Donnie Houston Podcast. Mike Dean, I appreciate you, man. It's been a real honor, man. Already. It's Donnie Houston Podcast, Mike Dean. We're out here.
Can't forget about Willie D, the Gangster of Love. He hired me to play guitar on some of the first stuff at Rap A Lot. Remember I played on Fuck Rodney King. I played all the guitars on that.
Donnie Houston.
Subscribe to Donnie Houston Podcast, man.